Ramaswamy Pillai. There are certain old devotees who may not seem that well known, important, or significant, only because they chose to remain in the background. But in their relationship with Bhagavan, and in their understanding and practice of his teachings, they are deeply significant. Although some of them were not very popular, and alas, to some extent, even disliked by others, their relationship with Bhagavan was as wonderful as those of other better-known devotees. Ramaswamy Pillai came from a family of non-vegetarians. However, even as a child, he could not bring himself to eat meat, and so he became a vegetarian. Seeing this, the rest of his family too became vegetarians. He studied the Bible thoroughly and read the Buddha's teachings. And he once told me, "I have been to the mosque many times and offered prayers just like Muslims do. And when they said Allah, I could feel God." He never looked upon it as something alien or different. Such was his background. Ramaswamy Pillai studied in Chintapuram, 90 miles away from Tiruvannamalai. One day his teacher showed the class a picture of Bhagavan and said, "This is the picture of a great sage living in Arunachala." Of the 40 students in the class that day, Ramaswamy Pillai was the only one to be so magnetized by the picture that after class he went to his teacher and asked, "Sir, may I have a picture of that saint?" The teacher was only too glad to give him the picture. Recollecting this, Ramaswamy Pillai told me, "Before I went to Bhagavan, Bhagavan came to my room." Many people who have had a similar experience have told me, "Before I could go to my master came to me." After receiving this picture of Bhagavan, Ramaswamy Pillai had a strong urge to meet Bhagavan. He soon made his way to Tiruvannamalai, where he found Bhagavan seated on a rock in Virupaksha cave. Ramaswamy Pillai said his very first darshan made him think, here sits the single sovereign monarch of the universe, a Maharaja, a Chakravarti. This feeling did not come to him on the first darshan alone. He later told me, "Every time I looked at Bhagavan, no matter how many times a day, all those years until he passed away, I felt that here is the single sovereign monarch of the universe." By then, Bhagavan had already composed the Akshara Manamalai, a hymn with 108 verses. It took the young Ramaswamy Pillai just a little more than an hour to learn the verses by heart. From then on, even though just a schoolboy, he chanted the verses constantly. Ramaswamy Pillai's second visit was when he was in college. Bhagavan had by then moved to Skanda Ashram. That day, when he visited the master along with his friend, Bhagavan was going around the hill and was taking the inner forest route that winds around the base of the hill. As he and his friend followed Bhagavan through the thick woods, he felt that Bhagavan was like a monarch marching ahead with his army following him. The Giri Pradakshina had such an impact on him that the very next day he wanted to do it again, but this time alone. But on the forest path he lost his way and did not know what to do. When he turned around, he found the ashram dog Kamala behind him. Kamala, realizing that he was lost, started walking in front, leading him through the forest. Whenever he rested, she too lay down. Whenever he stood up, she resumed walking. She did not leave his side for a minute. In this manner, she led him until he reached the town and then disappeared. When he later returned to Skanda Ashram, Kamala was already there. While the dog was leading him, his feeling was that this was not just a mere dog. It was Bhagavan himself who had come in this form. And so when he returned to Skanda Ashram, he looked at Bhagavan, and Bhagavan gave him a very beautiful smile. Ramaswamy Pillai told me, at that moment, I was more than convinced that Bhagavan would guide me through the unknown paths of life. That was his first real experience in the presence of Bhagavan.